Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Once again, I appreciate everybody that was able to join us today. Doreen, I've heard always present, so she's amazing. Thank you, Ruby. And also, Abba's presentation was great. I should just, after listening to her, I realized that there isn't much that I need to do because she basically covered everything that I wanted to say. In putting this together, I wrote taking ownership of your personal finance as the topic I wanted to talk about. But after listening to Abba, I should probably change it to transforming hope to practical steps. How do we do that? It's just basically taking what Abba had said and bringing it into the financial world. And so how do I want to approach this? I want to talk about how you need to know your income and how you need to understand your outgo. Income and outgo is what basically controls our personal finance. We also need to prepare for the unexpected, and then I'll teach you something called set it and forget it, which has to do with investments. In our walk of life, our daily walk of life, every time that most people don't realize how much money they have until during tax season. They find out how much they make when they sit across the desk from the tax person, and they go, oh, wait, I made this much money. I really didn't feel that way throughout the year. And that's the problem that we have in society. Most people do not know their income. And when I say people don't know their income, it's not like they don't know their annual salary. But when we apply for the job or personal companies that we run, what happens is that we sign up for a whole lot of things that come out of our paycheck that in the end, we don't even know how much we have. The typical things that come out of your paycheck include something like a short-term care or short-term disability, long-term care. Some people even sign up for legal aid. Then there is that dark thing called AFLAC. And then we have the health insurance. Do you sign up for PPO? Do you sign up for HMO? Do you sign up for HSA? Most people don't know it. Other people don't realize that they need life insurance. And then the question becomes, do you sign up for life insurance with your job? Do you sign up on your own? And so I just want to be able to cover this on the practical steps so that we all, when we get to the job place, we'll be able to understand what we're doing. First off, unless you're about 60 years and you're starting a job, half of these things that come out of your paycheck are pretty useless. I will use some harsh words just to get the impact. So please pardon me if you feel it's too harsh. Short-term disability, unless you're working on some job that has to do with electrical cables that you think is going to electrocute you, I don't know how many people in your workplace will sign up for or will use their short-term disability. Long-term care is not something that you need unless you're about 60 years old. Long-term care is another word for what do you call staying in a group home or those sort of things. And none of us during our work life end up in a group home unless we are very up there in age, and that is where we get into that problem. And so if you are in your 30s, 20s, 40s, 50s, getting long-term care insurance is not useful. The average stay in a long-term care facility is about 2 years. And so if you sign up for these things and you're paying for however many years that you pay for, you realize that you're basically throwing money away. You're better off buying it when you're in your 60s. And maybe that's when you take the most benefit out of. Healthcare is kind of dicey because it's not the same across every company. Some have PPO, some have HMO, and some have HSA. You need to find out what your health needs are as you go through the year. So each year's health needs might be different. You may be a 20-year-old living on your own, in which case an HSA plan will be fine if you're healthy, because all you need is maintenance. And then you want to be able to save some of the money in your HSA, because in HSA contributions, once you contributed and you don't use it, it stays for you. So it will keep repeating itself as you go, as you don't use. So you build some sort of a reserve that once you get up there in age and you need healthcare, you have money in an account in order to use for such thing. But you also have HMO and PPO. Depends on what your company offer, because if that's the year that you're going to have a baby, it's very important that you have the right kind of insurance, because some of these co-payments could hurt you. And so if you have a baby and you're healthy, your spouse is healthy, your child is healthy, and all you need is maintenance, then maybe it's time to go back from PPO to HSA if it's available. And so these are very practical things that you have to do and requires a lot of communication. The other thing I want to talk about is life insurance. We all need life insurance. Oftentimes when I give this talk, the insurance brokers in our midst they want to chase me up, because I'm not a big fan of whole life insurance. I think it's the most useless insurance you could buy. And also, if you're buying insurance, I would advise that you don't buy it from your workplace unless you have some sort of illness that prevents you from getting a good rate on the insurance market on your own. The reason for that is, on the average, if you're changing jobs every 5 years, every 10 years, that means that if you got insurance in 5 years, term life insurance, you're probably going to lose it, or you change jobs, that insurance goes away and you have to sign up for a new insurance. The best way to do it is buy the insurance on your own, separate from your work. And I'd advise that you buy a term life insurance. And I would explain down the line why you need term life insurance. A 20-year term life insurance is more than enough. And if you're buying, you buy maybe a 10 times what your annual salary is. The reason for that is, if you buy a whole life insurance, I just want you to understand that about 50% of the amount you pay in premium goes to your broker's pocket. It really doesn't buy you insurance. And you can buy more insurance with term life than whole life. If you follow some of the things I'm talking about, or I'll be talking about today, you would realize that in 20 years, your need for insurance would have minimized. It would have been very, very little. You only buy the insurance because you want to in 20 years. But you want to buy a term life, a 20-year, 25-year term life if you're younger. And then you would see, as I go through, you see why the term life insurance makes a lot more sense than the whole life sense, rather than giving money to your broker. The other thing I want to mention, the other thing that comes out of your income is your 401k. This is the most important thing that should be coming out of your income, but the majority of people seems to treat it like a throwaway bucket. 90% of millionaires in America are 401k millionaires. That means all the celebrities you see and all the people that flaunt your money only account for 10%. So if you have 90% of millionaires doing 401k or becoming millionaires because of 401k, why are you not participating in it? This is what Abba calls the true hope, right? You set a goal, you want a goal, you're trying to envision something for your future and you could pull it through. So you're taking practical, intentional steps to become the millionaire that you want to be. The average person that has $1 million in their 401k is believed that they contributed approximately $300,000. So you're contributing $300,000 into a 401k plan. And then by the time you retire, or when you're up there in age, it turns into $1 million. If you took the average of the 401k over the last 10 years, which is about 15,000, that means that if you're single, you paid religiously into this account for 18 years in order for it to turn into $1 million. If you're married, it means that both you and your spouse pretty much did it in 9 years. So being a millionaire, which is basically your net worth, could quickly climb to 1 million if you take very active participation in your 401k. And so I will entreat everybody to continue contributing more into your 401k more than anything else. This should be your primary investment vehicle. Most companies have very good funds within their 401k portfolio that you could pick from. And there isn't enough time to go through the various mutual funds that make up a 401k. But you do understand that if you put it in any good fund that is basically churning out about 8% to 10% annually, you should pretty much make that $1 million in less than even the 18 years. Because remember, your company may be also matching your 401k. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I want to make sure you covered since this is more of the Women Leaders in Action event, I want to state also that 80% of married women will outlive their husbands. So 80% of the married women on this platform will outlive their husbands, which means that you have to, if you're going to live that long, you need a lot of money to live that long. And so this is probably the time that if you're married, you should be having this conversation with your husband. And I have to tell you that the majority of people that initiate contact with me for personal finance are mostly on the women's side. The women start, and then the husband reluctantly follow on, and then they become the champions of it. Hey, we've always given it up to you. You tell us what ring you want, we buy it, and then we look like geniuses. So you could also lead us closely to personal finance goals. And eventually, when we understand it, we'll act like it was our original idea. You're pretty much used to that. And so I want to end on one note, which is on the hope note, or true hope. And I want to use the good book, the Bible, as an illustration of what it says about things. We grew up understanding, those of us who came to the United States at a younger age, that we needed to build our credit. If you don't build your credit, you're not going to be able to buy a house, you can't do anything. But these are all myths, they're not true. Prior to recently, there was something called manual underwriting, which people do, which is a way to say that without credit and with a good income, you could still buy a home, or you could still qualify for a mortgage without having to get into credit card mess. Credit cards are one of the most marketed, the best marketing ploy you can ever imagine in the system. And so I want to try to caution you on that, and also tell you that you need to begin to change your ways. You can't follow the pattern that everyone is creating, expecting to get a different result. That is what we call insanity. And the good book, the Bible, says it best on Romans 12:2, that we should not try to be conforming with the patterns of the world, the pattern of credit card, building this, building that. However, we should start by transforming. We should transform ourselves by renewing our mind, taking in new ideas, so that we would be able to understand the three things that are important to us: what is good, what is pleasing, and what is mature. So if for nothing, this afternoon, I just want to tell you that you need to start changing your mindset about your personal finance, so that you'll be able to enjoy what is good, what is pleasing, and what is mature to the human being. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kweku. That was really, really insightful. Great pointers there. Two quick questions for you. So you spoke a lot to those who I would say work for an institution or work for someone, getting the PPO, signing up for the HSA account. But what if you work for yourself? What are some of the things you can do, and where can you find resources for this information?
With respect to health insurance, it is usually, you're going to go into the open market to try to see who gives you the best rate. There are some small business insurance offers that are out there, where within a state, the insurance policies or the companies would ban a lot of small businesses and give them one rate. That is one way to shop. But you also need to be mindful of your own health requirements. And so you may not need a PPO or an HMO. Mostly every investment company will offer you some sort of an HSA insurance on your own. And so you have to tailor it based on your health needs. In terms of retirement investing, there is a self-directed 401k, or what they call the simple retirement plan, which offers you as a self-employed person to also have your own sort of 401k. And I'm not an a financial advisor, and so I would direct you to whatever brokerage house that you feel comfortable with. Fidelity, what are the other ones? Vanguard, Charles Schwab, or even a broker to walk you through. What I want you to pick from today is that don't be signing up for all those things that rob you out of your money. And I want to make sure that I point that out. It sounds very counterintuitive, but again, it requires transforming the mind.
So what would be a simple financial algorithm to live by?
Live on less than you make.